Jobs for the boys. We've all heard the saying, and it gets mentioned a lot in the comments on this channel. And I don't know what it will take for people to realise that the police look after their own, especially if they're deemed to have had a long career in the job. Regardless to how shit a police force they worked for was, regardless to whether they should take some blame for the failings of a previous employment, it seems that the police think, or can, simply move around to another area and just forget the trail of fuck-ups they leave behind. In any other job in the world, you fail in your duties in that role and you're likely to be picking up a P45. But not the police. Amanda Blakeman was appointed as Deputy Chief Constable for West Mercia Police in February 2017, having previously been Assistant Chief Constable for local policing since October 2014 for Warwickshire Police and West Mercia. According to a LinkedIn page, she has worked for Gwent Police in South Wales since November 2019. Now, after her appointment at West Mercia Police in February 2017, violent crime rates soared in the area by rising almost a fifth of the previous rate, with the possession of weapons offences up by 28%. In October 2019, just before she left West Mercia for Gwent, the HMICFRS reported that the force must immediately improve the way it records violent crime after failing to document more than 4,200 offences, with the HMICFRS saying that West Mercia Police is depriving some domestic abuse victims of the support they need and deserve. The latest inspections found West Mercia was not taking down the details of more than 8,900 reported crimes each year, including more than 4,200 reports of violent crimes. It's 12%, particularly harassment, stalking, coercive and controlling behaviour, and domestic abuse, as well as modern slavery. In November 2021, a Freedom of Information request showed that in the preceding year, so the year that Blakeman was Deputy Chief Constable for Gwent, there had been more than 1,000 allegations made against police constables from the force, and was the slowest in the country when it came to dealing with complaints. In total, 1,316 allegations formed 712 complaints made against Gwent Police in that year. The most common type of allegation made against them in 2020 to 2021 was around the delivery of duties and service. This obviously could include things like police action after being contacted, decisions made by officers, and the general level of service that the force provides. She was Deputy Chief Constable when 29-year-old Moyad Bashir died after being restrained by Gwent police officers at his family home in 2021. Bashir is said to have been having a mental health episode when his family called the police. The intention was to have him removed to a place of safety and simply help them escort Bashir to hospital for treatment. Thinking just 2 or 3 police would arrive to help, they said they were amazed when the 24 police turned up and forced their way into his bedroom, handcuffed him and tied him up by his legs. Although an IOPC report later suggested it was just 9 officers. Just 9 officers. Bashir is said to have stabbed himself prior to police entering his room, and whilst he was handcuffed and tied up, he was bleeding out. In March this year, the family spoke out about the agonising wait they are still enduring over answers for this tragedy. This was on Amanda Blakeman's watch. We also have the incredibly suspicious private hearing for Temporary Assistant Chief Constable Mark Budden, Chief Superintendent Mark Warrinder, and Chief Inspector Paul Staniforth, who were all found guilty at a private hearing of gross misconduct, in which misconduct including inappropriate conversation with a more junior member of police staff and failure to challenge or report the same were alleged against all 3 officers. Inappropriate touching was alleged against Mark Warrinder, and failing to disclose a conflict of interest and inappropriately disclosing information in relation to a criminal investigation, providing a dishonest account in relation to his conduct, and engaging in inappropriate conduct whilst on duty was alleged against Mark Budden. Again, all on Amanda Blakeman's watch. Now yes, There is a chief constable to consider here too, but a force should not be taking on someone for a role when they come from a force where this kind of shit is going on. Wales Online wrote to North Wales Police and Crime Commissioner Andy Dunbobbin, the PCC for the force Blakeman has now been accepted as Chief Constable for, and asked him, were you aware about the issues with personnel and culture within Gwent Police at the time of Amanda Blakeman's appointment? Were you aware of the outstanding questions that were still to be answered about how the senior leadership team at Gwent Police dealt with accusations against Mark Warrender, Mark Budden and Paul Staniforth, as well as Clark Jocelyn? And was Miss Blakeman challenged on the outstanding issues with Gwent Police? And do you feel it is appropriate that someone with Ms. Blakeman's recent record is appointed to such a senior position in the force? In a response, a spokesman from the Office of the Police and Crime Commissioner said, Amanda Blakeman joined Gwent Police as Deputy Chief Constable in November 2019, several months after the incidents that were the subject of investigation happened in June 2019. She was appointed as independent appropriate authority with the IOPC investigating the incidents prior to becoming Deputy Chief Constable of Gwent, and continued in that role after joining the force. Those investigations recently concluded and the officers involved have been dealt with appropriately and according to the rules in place. Amanda Blakeman demonstrated during the recruitment process for her new role that she was the right candidate for the position of Chief Constables of North Wales Police, and her outstanding achievements throughout her career in policing speak for themselves. In other words, she knows when to keep her mouth shut and has had vast experience in sweeping shit under the carpet. She's perfect for us. Not for the public, but for the rest of us, she's perfect for the job. So you see now why people want to join the police these days. It's got nothing to do with making a difference, nothing to do with helping people, nothing to do with making communities a better place to live. But so they are well and truly looked after if they can prove that they will lie, cheat and cover up without question and protect your more seniors while throwing the odd cannon fodder under the bus. If you live in North Wales, I pity you for now having to deal with yet another police chief mired by scandal being dropped into a role that should be there for you as the public, but instead is always all about them, their pensions and their pay.